Hi, HRN listeners. We're celebrating our 15th anniversary, and we have a really fun campaign and an ask for you. This 15th anniversary tour is aiming to bring you closer to unique food and music experiences in some of the most exciting cities in America. All the while, we're raising funds to support our work empowering the next generation of food systems storytellers through our fellowship programs. Here's how it works. Donate to HRN and be entered into a raffle in the city of your choice to win a dinner for two at a noteworthy restaurant and tickets for two to a concert at a prominent local venue. We have incredible partners in New York, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Nashville, Las Vegas, Charleston, Asheville, and Ardmore, Pennsylvania, who have donated a meal for two and two tickets to a concert of the winner's choice. And all donations help fund our fellowship programs, where we're helping to build essential workforce readiness skills and food system storytelling skills. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15. Thank you.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network. HRN is food radio supported by you. Learn more at heritageradionetwork.org.
This episode is brought to you by Wisconsin Cheese. We've been making cheese in Wisconsin since before we were even a state, which may be one reason why we win so many awards for it. It's what happens when a whole state dreams in cheese. Find your next favorite cheese at wisconsincheese.com.
Welcome to Spill and Dish, a new podcast from the Specialty Food Association. Founded in 1952, SFA is the leading trade association and source of information about the $194 billion specialty food industry. We champion the food producers, retailers, and other buyers who make up the specialty food world. If you want to know more about membership, visit specialtyfood.com. While on the site, check out the new Maker Prep course, a 12-step online program that will teach you how to take your specialty food product to the next level. In each podcast episode, we want to share the stories behind the products made and sold by our members who are helping shape the future of food. You can listen and discover the inspiration, recipe, craft, culture, ingredients, and production methods that help answer the question, what makes specialty food special? I'm today's host, Julie Gallagher, Director of Content Development at the Specialty Food Association. We're so happy to bring you today's episode and also so pleased to be working with Heritage Radio Network, a nonprofit podcast network covering the world of food, drink, and agriculture and expanding the way eaters think about food. Our guests today are Steve Muir, Vice President of Sales and Operations for Lewis Road Creamery, and Lynette Maan, Co-founder and Director of Marketing and Communications at Lewis Road Creamery. Maker of a 10-star certified salted butter that was named 2023 Sophie Product of the Year Award winner at SFA's Summer Fancy Food Show in New York City. Welcome, Steve and Lynette, and congratulations on winning this prestigious award.
Thank you very much. Very nice to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Great. So can you start off, maybe Lynette, and tell me about Lewis Road Creamery, where it's based, and how it came to be?
Okay, so Lewis Road Creamery is a premium dairy company right over the other side of the Pacific Ocean in New Zealand. My journey started with my husband and three other directors with a brand called Southern Pastures. So we purchased, with the help of some overseas pension fund money, a group of 19 farms. And so our journey started back at the soil and the farms. And then we purchased, and that was back in 2013. And then we purchased the existing brand of Lewis Road Creamery about 6 years ago.
Okay, great. And for listeners who may not know, I mentioned the Sophie win. So that competition is only open to Specialty Food Association member companies who submit their products for consideration into one of 50 plus categories. And Lewis Road Creamery's butter was among the very top scorers who won gold awards. And then hundreds of buyers tasted the top 5 scores, including your butter, at the Fancy Food Show. And of course, your product was declared Product of the Year. Can you talk a little bit about how that win may have helped your company during the Fancy Food Show and maybe after it as well?
Yeah, sure. I think for me, one thing I wanted to point out, and something that we're very proud of, is the fact that our salted butter did win the Product of the Year award, and that it has just 2 simple ingredients, and it's just cream and salt. And that really goes back to everything that takes place on the farms. One of the key points of difference that we have at Lewis Road Creamery and our Southern Pastures farms, they're all regeneratively farmed, and that really came through, I think, in the flavour and the texture of the butter, and that's why I think we received such high scores. Just the simplicity of the product. It was great to receive the award at the show, because we certainly had people coming by at the booth congratulating us. It's amazing how quickly the news spreaded, and it's obviously very well regarded. So there was a lot of congratulations at the show, and then beyond the show, it's just been really nice for us to be able to include in our pitch to potential customers and to communicate to our existing customers that the product they've got on shelf, or that we hope they will have on shelf, is a product that's been recognised with that award. So it's a really nice award to have, and something that we're incredibly proud of.
Even the approaches from great restaurants and chefs, Michelin chefs, are getting behind this product, and I'm sure that's because it's got the award attached to it, which is fantastic.
I was reading on your website that you're starting a butter revolution. What does that mean for consumers like me? And when did you introduce your product to the U.S. market?
It was introduced about 5 years ago now, and it's been a slow creep through stores. Initially starting in, was it Erewhon, I think?
And Central
Markets. Yeah. And then Whole Foods have taken it on as well. I guess the thing with butter is not all butter is the same. It does go back, as Steve mentioned, right through to how it's farmed, how much grass is given to the animals, the fact that the animals, the cows are out on fields, rotationally grazed all year round. That's night and day, because they're in an area in New Zealand where we can keep them outside all year round. So therefore, not all farms are the same, even in New Zealand. We farm also for soils, and that again comes through, believe it or not, into the butter. So I think starting the butter revolution is the fact that it goes right back to how we farm globally, for the world, for the good of the world. We're burying carbon into our soils. We're keeping the poop within the loop. So it's all about keeping the soil's enriched naturally, and the more we do that, the more multi-species we have within the fields, the better it is for our planet and the biodiversity. So I guess that's what we're saying about the butter revolution, is it goes way past just the taste, but it ends up in the flavour of the butter as well.
Yeah, I do as many in-store demos as I can. And one of the things that I'm incredibly proud of is that when customers come up and they taste the butter, and I'm not being arrogant about this, but they say to me, this is the best butter that I've ever tasted in my life. And again, it just comes down to what Lynette's saying, is what happens on the farms comes through in the butter. So it isn't just butter. It's just a butter that has had a lot of thought put into the farming process and the production, and it comes through in the finished product.
Like a delicious butter.
It is.
And it's so great that you have this sustainable message to back it up. And I think I read somewhere that you're changing your packaging, maybe to tout some of your certifications on it. Is that correct?
Yes, the packaging change has taken place. So all product in market at the moment is the new packaging. And we are very proudly wearing a message on our sleeve.
Okay, so tell me what a consumer will see when they maybe approach the packaging for the first time.
Sure. So they're going to see our Lewis Road Creamery brand, and outside of the brand are all of the regenerative and sustainable and climate change mitigation claims that we make. So, 365 days grass-fed, rainwater-fed farms, climate change mitigation, non-GMO. So they'll see all the claims in a green printed font around the outside of the Lewis Road Creamery logo.
But not just around. We've also got a little branded logo trust mark on there, which we have independently certified. So instead of just one attribute being on that, like, for example, non-GMO, we've got 10 that little badge holds. And that's where it comes into being the 365 days pasture raised, the above 99% grass-fed. So those are all, we started the certification in terms of we couldn't find one around the world that actually incorporated all of these amazing attributes. So we created our own and then gave it across to a certification body to accredit and audit what we do. And so that's completely independent. And this is where New Zealand is one of the most trusted, I think, to do business in the world. So, it is hand on heart. Absolutely, I can defend absolutely everything we say.
That's the 10-star certified.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Part of the product's name.
Yeah, so again, part of those 10 things are the 365 days pasture raised and virtually 100% grass-fed, so it's above 99%, 5 freedoms in animal welfare, plus a whole bunch of other amazing things, which is above the welfare standard in New Zealand, which is already high. And then we are GMO-free, and that's completely 100% GMO-free. We do climate change mitigation, which is introducing little dung beetles to help with taking the dung right down into the surface of the earth so that we can, so that the multi-species that we plant, the root systems have fertilizer down deep. It can retain far more water within the soils, which helps obviously with droughts, but it also helps in terms of, maybe this is part of the answer to climate change on a grander, bigger scale. We do lots of environmental sustainability. We have our own beehives, for example. We have lots of hundreds and hundreds of plants that we have planted, plus left areas that we regenerate. We do palm-free and tallow-free feed, obviously because most of it's grass. We're growth hormone free, and we do have antibiotic stewardship. So we have less antibiotics than the EU organic certification, but we actually do believe in saving a life every now and again when we need to.
Wow. So you have such a high bar. The farms that supply your company, were they already upholding these high standards, or is that something that you worked with them to achieve?
No, they weren't, but we own the farms. So this is why we are able to make sure that the standard fits to every single farm. So they are our farms, which is fantastic.
And the farms are regenerated.
We have families on those farms that look after it, but it's all farmed to this system.
Okay. Tell me about some of the logistical challenges you face in shipping a perishable product so far from where it's produced.
Yeah. To be honest, the international logistics are probably the easiest part of the equation because we once the butter is produced and packaged, it is frozen down. Everything comes across frozen. into frozen
Okay.
storage in the US, and then we either ship directly to independent retailers, or we're shipping via distribution into the US market. So, it certainly adds a little bit of complexity and certainly cost to the product. But really, that's probably the least of our challenges, is getting it into the US market.
And what other international markets is your butter in?
We're in Singapore. We are throughout some places in Asia. We've been into Australia, and we're just heading over to the UK market, hopefully.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about the premium butter space? And maybe, is it a crowded space? Talk a bit about that.
Sure. Look, it definitely is a crowded space, and it's relatively small. So we really have to fight pretty aggressively and pretty hard to gain the space that we're seeking. And also, the cost to maintain it is certainly challenging. I think, again, the advantage that we do have where we find placement and we'll get Lewis Road Creamery into people's mouths is that we do get a great percentage of repeat customers and loyalty to the brand. So, our challenge is just to get our retail buyers to give us a chance and put us on shelf. And then once we've got product in their customers' mouths, we find that it gets quite well established. And helps us maintain that placement. We're a premium price, or I'd say a super premium price product, because of the costs of production and the costs that go into the inputs on the farm. So, we are priced higher than other premium brands in the market, but we're proud of that, because it's not like we're making a lot of money out of it. It's about the costs and the care and attention that go into the production of the butter. And I think if truth were to be told, a lot of products on market probably should be a lot more expensive than what they are. But they don't have the same sort of farming standards that what we really, as I said, put onto our sleeve.
And I guess part of that, Julie, is the fact that we do pay we do make sure the people that work on our farms get paid. Each and every single person gets paid, and generally housed as well, in beautiful houses on the farms. So they are paid the living wage, which means that they can have their own existence as well. They're there because they want to be there and work on the farms.
You've had farmers there since the start of the company, right?
Absolutely.
They've been loyal to the company because the company's been loyal to them. And I'm actually down in New Zealand at the moment, and we're visiting farms while I'm here. And to meet the farmers and see their passion, not just for farming, but for working for Southern Pastures and Lewis Road Creamery, it just shows that the company is doing the right thing by the environment, by the animals, by the people. It just really does come through from the way the farmers talk and how passionate they are.
That's great. Do you find that a challenge to get in front of buyers and to have them taste the product? It sounds like that's kind of a necessary part of the equation, having them taste the product. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Look, absolutely. It's always a challenge to get in front of buyers, especially post-COVID. Obviously, through COVID, it was near impossible. And post-COVID, I think a lot of buyers have maintained that, the distance from a lot of manufacturers, because adding a new product to your set adds a lot of complexity to their operation. And, quite often they're struggling with staffing. And if their category is performing okay, then, why should they bring another product in and a premium price product in? So it is definitely a challenge. I think the advantage that we have, or something that works to our advantage, is that when we do become quite well established with a really nice independent or a nice regional chain, then we can take that data and send it through with part of our pitch to the next customer. So at least they can see that they're not having to necessarily pioneer the brand. It's got some nice data behind it to show that it is going to add value to their set. So, certainly not easy, and it's a constant day-to-day struggle. And
we have that in New Zealand as well with the brand. We are the premium brand of choice for the whole of New Zealand, and this is a dairy country. So, that is what we want to take, to other places in the world as well. where it comes back to the provenance.
So now you have the salted butter and the unsalted butter. What are your other products? And is the salted butter your best seller?
Yes, it is. At the moment, we do just have the 2 SKUs in the US market. We're certainly looking at a number of NPD options, but we really want to focus on the salted and unsalted butter because we've just got so far to go to get that established. We're a very, very young brand, and we need to prove our case, prove our place in the market, and then once the brand has some really good, strong recognition, then we're hoping to bring in some NPD. And our buyers at some of our stores are asking what we're going to bring through, but right now we just can't commit to anything until we know what's viable for the market.
That makes sense. So we're almost out of time, but before you go, we'd like for you to participate in our final segment called Take 5, where we pose 5 questions to our guests. But first, let's pause for a break.
This episode is brought to you by Wisconsin Cheese. There's a reason when you think of Wisconsin, you think cheese. Cheese is a huge part of Wisconsin's history and future. In Wisconsin, the state of cheese, the tradition of cheese-making excellence began 180 years ago, before Wisconsin was recognized as a state. Immigrants traveled to settle in this lush green hills of Wisconsin, bringing their cheese-making traditions with them. These storied skills, combined with the freshest milk available, created a cheese-making culture that is uniquely Wisconsin. Wisconsin's 1,200 cheesemakers, many of whom are 3rd and 4th generation, continue to pass on old-world traditions while adopting modern innovations in cheese-making craftsmanship. Find your next favorite cheese at wisconsincheese.com.
Here are your 5 questions for our final segment, Take 5. What is your favorite thing about the specialty food industry?
Sure. I think hands down for me, it's the people that I'm talking to, the clear passion that they've got for the products that they're presenting and selling and the passion they've got for their business. There's such a remarkable difference between walking into an independent or specialty food store versus walking into grocery. And I love the fact that when you're talking with people, you really sense that passion coming through. And just the pride, it's not an easy, the specialty food market, it's not an easy one. And people are doing it because they're passionate about what they do. And I just love that.
Mm-hmm. And what's one thing that the Specialty Food Association has made easier for you as a specialty food business?
Sure. That's pretty easy. For me, it's about networking and exposure. And I go back, 20 years when I participated in my first, was a winter fancy food show. And I had all these grand ideas for what I was going to do with the brands that I was bringing into New Zealand. And in a nice way, I had people just laugh at me because they knew about the US market and I didn't. But they were very open at sharing knowledge and sharing ideas and making suggestions. And it just helped me understand how complex this market is. And without participating in shows like that, I would have continued to struggle for years. So, the networking, the knowledge, the exposure is fantastic.
Okay. And if you weren't involved in a specialty food business, what would you be doing?
Like for me, I don't have the skill set to do it, but I would like to be a regenerative farmer. Because I just love it. I love what I see the farmers doing and what they're doing for the environment and for our food system. I would love to be some sort of environmental educator and maybe a sensitive and a little bit of sensitive and sensible activism or environmental law. I just think it's something that's desperately needed in America and in probably most countries around the world.
Yeah, it seems like very fulfilling work.
Yeah.
What's the one piece of advice you'd give a new food business?
I think go narrow and deep. Really pick the product that you're proud of and just focus on, finding the niche and really working hard to get established in that niche. Don't spread yourself too thin, and just prove the model. because it's just so easy to get distracted in different directions. And I think you've just got to really stand by your beliefs, and eventually, it's going to take some time potentially, but it's worth the effort.
Mm-hmm. And how do you define specialty food?
Yeah, I think specialty food, is an essential part of our system in the US, because it gives, manufacturers an opportunity to get products established, without having incredibly deep pockets. And it also gives consumers the opportunity to try new products rather than just not having a choice. So I think it's critical, because otherwise we've got no option but to go to conventional grocery where the choices are limited and dominated by massive brands. And it's just an amazing experience to go into a specialty food store and see what, backyard producers and small, startups are doing, and trying new products and hearing their stories and understanding what they're doing for the environment. And so it's essential for choice. I'm very passionate about it.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today. You can find out more about this show at specialtyfood.com and heritageradionetwork.org. And remember to follow wherever you get your podcasts. Come back often to get to know the people who are shaping the future of food. Special thanks to Steve and Lynette and to Heritage Radio Network, the world's pioneer food radio station. This is Spill and Dish, a Specialty Food Association podcast.
Spill and Dish, a Specialty Food Association podcast, is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.
Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butts, get big or get out.
It's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be. And realize wow, this piece of legislation, all this money, it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.